Hey Bayek, it's me Ian, and in today's video, well, I'm continuing my look at the X-Files, and we're now on season 4. So this is Unrequited from 1997. Previously, we'd had Kaddish, and the next one will be Tempus Fungit. Now, this is season 4, and it's episode 16, and it's considered a Monster of the Week story. It was transmitted on the 23rd of February 1997 on Fox, on the 11th of May 1997 on Sky, and on the 7th of January 1998 on BBC One. The story is by Howard Gordon, a regular here, and he wrote the actual teleplay with Chris Carter. So Howard Gordon and Chris Carter together here writing for the X-Files. And it's directed by Michael Lang. He does a lot of TV series and TV films. He did, in fact, direct 4 episodes of The X-Files, from season 1, Young at Heart and Miracle Man, and season 2, Ascension. And of course, as usual, it's produced as the showrunner by Chris Carter. The music is, as always, by Mark Snow. So let's go through the cast. We've got David Duchovny playing Fox Mulder, Gillian Anderson playing Dana Scully. Then we've got Mitch Pileggi, who plays, of course, Walter Skinner. And then we've got Laurie Alden, who plays Marita Kovaria BS. I can't pronounce that very well, but she's the sort of new Deep Throat kind of character who, as for a few seasons now, have been passing on information to Mulder. Then we've got Scott Hylands, who plays General Block. Now, list of films: Daddy's Gone A-Hunting, 1969. These are just some of the films I found. Fools, 1970. Operation Snafu, 1970. Slipstream, sci-fi, that one I know, 1973. An Earthquake, 1974. Disaster movie, of course. The Boys in Company C, 1973. Death Hunt, 1981. Decoy, 1996. Re-Memory, 2017. Elsewhere, 2019. And again, a lot of TV series and TV films for this actor. Then we've got Peter LaCroix, who plays Nathan Teager. 2 films that he did was Disturbing Behavior, 1998, and Riding the Bullet, 2004. And then again, a lot of TV series and TV films. The locations on this story are, of course, Vancouver, and this time we've got Jericho Park and Ballantine Pier, all in Vancouver area. and again, I always say this, but it's so true. X-Files always look brilliant. And if there is any special effects, CGI sometimes in its early years here, you never notice it. For instance, the war memorial scene that we see, they obviously weren't allowed to put original names. They had to make up names, put on there, and then they had to create through CGI the extensive bits of the war memorial, and it looks pretty good. I would say you don't notice that. This is very interesting, isn't it? That the early years of the CGIs, as some of it is it's really quite good. I don't know why people always are complaining about it, which you do. To be honest, it looks better than some of the stuff we have seen in recent films. So that's always interesting to look at. So what is this about? Well, it's a Vietnam story. I mean, Vietnam we always have as a big source in American history, and it's one that a lot of writers dip into, and this is no exception. It's also one of those interesting stories that did have a little bit of scientific basis, and then they've just developed it. So there's the murder of this lieutenant general, and the assassin appears to be invisible, and unstoppable. Yes, totally unstoppable. And Mulder and Scully then learn that a government is attempting to cover up, as usual, government's always covering up, the existence of American prisoners of war still being kept in Vietnam. Could you imagine that story getting out? Wow. And with this, of course, we see the involvement of a far-right paramilitary group, the Right Hand, who just add a bit more to the mix. Extremists doing their terroristic business, if you want to call it that. Also, Mulder learns through Marita Kobayas the information about those involved in negotiations. Yes, this is another bit to free the prisoners of war. So those involved in negotiations are going to be high-up generals. Yes. And this is all a conspiracy cover-up, it seems, again, by the government, not wanting people to know, and the army as well, those involved at the top. Very interesting story, but typical of that sort of Vietnam paranoia that we do get. I think the other bit about this is the invisibility is believed as a scientific explanation, and it is reaching, but they have to put something almost in there that apparently in our eyes there are invisibility spots. Again, they say it does have this bit, so they've expanded that. So in these invisibility spots, you wouldn't see in your eyes who these assassins were. They were there, and then suddenly they're there. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah. As always, the X-Files comes up with some great ideas. But I think the reason this has quite sort of mixed reviews and isn't sort of high up there on the list of favourite mentioned episodes is it's kind of, well, there's no real connection and involvement with the characters. I don't think that is one of the problems. You don't really care that much about these men who've suffered a lot. they suffered a lot. They're being used in this way was, well, you would expect to feel a bit more about it, and you certainly don't, which is sad, really, because I think the X-Files, as I look at it, the episodes are very engaging often, and you do get involved emotionally. This one, you don't. It's just, oh yeah, it's another government cover-up, but those involved. When you there is one scene when they give the dog tags back to one of these soldiers' wives. That's about the nearest we get to any sort of emotional kind of connection in this story and the effects, which, there we are. But I always say with the X-Files, imagine working on a series like this, the amount of episodes they are writing, and trying always to get that balance as well in storytelling, but getting the emotional side to it as well. You could argue maybe the director could have done maybe better on it. I don't know. I mean, the director seems he's very experienced in TV series and TV films. Maybe this was earlier on, I suppose, in his career, but he did direct 4 episodes, and Ascension, season 2 is quite a big episode, as I remember, in the conspiracy. Miracle Man, I remember, in the first season, is a very good episode. So, it's just one of those things. It does happen, and I mean, it's such a lot of episodes they had to fill up in those days. It's not like nowadays, But I think that's why it's not quite as well thought of. But I enjoyed it, and I think it's got a lot of good ideas. The idea of invisibility. If you ask people, one of the powers they would love to have, if you was granted, you could have a power, it would be invisibility. It's always something people would like. I think it's an enjoyable episode, but I can see the criticisms and why it's not top notch X-Files, but it's not a bad episode. I think that's an important thing to say. And I think that's it, really. I think I've gone on probably far too long. So I hope you've enjoyed that. So if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. And then if you look in the playlist, you can see all the previous X-Files episodes that I've reviewed. And just have a look in there. You might find some interesting episodes to look at. But also, I do a lot more than that. I do a lot of film reviews and TV series, and sometimes a little bit of music. Maybe not as much nowadays, but it's all often with a retro feel as well, collecting as well, and that kind of thing. So have a look there. You might find something. And if you like this video, please give the video a like. Now, if you give this video a like, it's good for my channel. Gets it out onto YouTube so other people might enjoy it. So please give it a like. And then if you've got any comments, please put your comments down. I love to read your comments, and I'll always reply to them. And that's it. I've gone on far too long, so all I've got to say is I'll see thee again.